molestation in Benue State. So I want to talk to you about sexual molestation. What is sexual molestation? You see, any sexual activity that happens without consent is sexual molestation. When I say consent, I mean there is no agreement to the act, and that makes it what? Sexual molestation. And the most common form that we know of is rape. That's the most common form of sexual abuse we know. But sexual abuse can come in different forms. It can be verbal, it can be virtual, and it can be physical. And when this happens between a minor and someone that is older, an adult, it then becomes child sexual molestation. Yes. When a minor is involved, someone that is a child, someone that is below the age of 18, someone that is innocent, that knows nothing, it then becomes what? Child sexual molestation. Now, I want us to understand that beyond the desire, beyond the lustful desire to get sexual gratification, sexual molestation happens because there is an imbalance of power. Let's think about this. Let's take a look at all the cases we've heard of, all the cases we've seen, and if you've experienced it yourself, you will agree with me that there is always an imbalance of power. It is either an adult and a child is involved, or a teacher and a student, a lecturer and a student, a boss and an employee. There is a kind of imbalance of power in all these experiences. It could be that one is more knowledgeable than the other one is just naive. There is always an imbalance of power. Someone is stronger than the other. And this is why it is very, very important for us to report these cases, for us not to cover it up, especially when it happens within families. We shouldn't cover it up, because when we report, what we do is that we give these victims, we give these survivors their power back. We help them reclaim their power, and we break this circle of sexual molestation, because it's looking like it's a normal thing. Someone will say, because she didn't dress well, or because he didn't dress well, or something, and that was what made me, I was aroused. It's becoming normal. So people make excuses for it. When we begin to report and ensure that people face the law, we see that we are breaking this circle of sexual abuse in our communities. Because the damage it does to the victims live with them all through their life. It lives with them, and in most cases there are no procedures that these people go through as therapy to come back to their normal selves. It destroys a lot of things in the life of the victim. So we need to be speaking out. We need to say these things. As we see them, we should speak up against it, so as to break this circle of molestation, of abuse, of rape. And let me tell you, when people talk about sexual abuse, our mind begins to go towards the girl child, and see, boys get molested, boys get abused as children, as adults. Sexual molestation is not a one gender something. It happens to anybody. It can happen to anybody, anywhere, no matter the age of that person. Sexual abuse can happen in the church. It can happen under your nose, in your house. It can happen anywhere, on the streets. It can happen anywhere with anybody. Anybody can be a victim, and anybody can be a perpetrator. Anybody can be a victim, and anybody can be a perpetrator of sexual abuse. So I want to say that if you find any person that has been a victim, or you witness something like this, please don't try to add salt to injury by blaming the victim. It's not their fault. It is not. And if you know the perpetrator, please report this case to the police and let the authorities do what they are to do. So sexual abuse can happen to anybody, to children, to adults, and I believe that one way to curb this menace is not the only way, but it is one of the ways we can reduce this. Sex education. We should give children sex education, age appropriate sex education. As they grow, you increase the curriculum. I believe that this will help. And I also believe that we should talk about things like this. We should speak up about it. Let's not cover it. Emphasize it, especially when it happens within families. You are trying to protect your family name. You are trying to cover up. It's not helping us. It's not. It is not going to help the victim too. Let us speak up. Let offenders face the law. Please, let's do that. So I believe that if each and every one of us take responsibility to protect the children under our care, to protect ourselves, to give to speak up about it, and to report offenders, we will be making headway. So thank you for having me.